DPP handles it is another matter altogether. And we'll see how it will determine the peace and tranquility that is going on in Kano State. We have been told that the police was able to quell it, for how long will that continue? We'll monitor things, especially there is still chance at the Supreme Court.
Well, interestingly, the police also said over the weekend that they had information that some politicians were planning to bring about unrest in the state. Hence, my question of the fact that is this really a protest or is this some mechanization of some political actors? But then, away from Kano State now, we are learning that Ondo State too is having it is also being rocked by its own crisis. I mean, since Akeredolu's return, and this crisis between whatever the deputy governor did in his absence, warranting a move for his impeachment and stuff like that, really unsettling the state. According to the Guardian here, Feni Ferre leader Ruben Fasoranti and some elders in the state yesterday appealed to President Bola Tinubu and the national chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Ganduje, to intervene in the political crisis rocking the state. I think it was some days ago that we discussed the role of these political parties and affairs of the different representatives when they eventually get to the field to work. I mean, these parties sponsor these candidates, and so when these two candidates are having a fracas, I think it's only right for them to step in and see what can be done because, according to the elder statesmen from that met, they said the entire crisis is scuttling with the governance affairs of Ondo State. And there is also this fear that the preparation of the 2024 state budget might suffer a setback. But for me, I really wonder I do know that there are no permanent enemies in politics. And there are no permanent friends in politics. But I presume that before two people decide to run alongside each other for political office, they have some semblance of, having the same ideals, having the same political ideas, not just belonging to the same political party, but having the same vision politically for the state. And where one person is not getting it right, the other person is supposed to call the other person to order without any bad blood starting to arise from it. Let's talk about misinformation to Akeredolu. The people that it's normal to have people sow the seed of discord. So there are allegations that the seed of discord has been sown by misinforming Akeredolu. And then the lack of communications, instead of two adults to sit down together and trash whatever it is, because, the fate of the entire state, as it may, lies with them. They are busy having this, I dare say, bickering and having this fracas, this fight, this supremacy battle. And I wonder how affairs of Ondo State have been faring since this entire thing started. And I wonder how far it would go and how deep, how badly things in that state may become if they don't just trash this out as early as possible. And that call to President Tinubu to, impression on them to let sleeping dogs lie, bury the hatchets, and possibly whatever it is, resolve it, is a good one. I think the president should actually interfere. I think also, regardless of party affiliations, when there are certain crises among political actors in different states, especially at the seat of the governor and that of the deputy governor, I think it's only right for Mr. President to interfere because, he is overseeing the affairs of the entire country, and so these people are also somehow answerable to him, or very much answerable to him and the people. So I do hope that Mr. President gets to interfere as soon as possible and all of these things are trashed out, because only God knows how bad it may get.
Especially as he's the leader of the party, so to speak.
Yeah.
These are members of his party. He intervened in Rivers State. Even though the scuffles are still going on, it has ended in the court. The same thing is playing out in Ondo State. But the thing is, people can come together on a particular platform. But I think when the issue of loyalty becomes questionable, then whatever friction that might come in the future may be quite difficult to deal with. And I guess that is what is happening in Ondo State. And so whether people are sowing the seed of discord or not, I think from what we have been able to see, it would seem that on his own, understate governor actually thinks that there is something quite untoward as far as his deputy is concerned. Initially, there was this allegation of trying to usurp the powers of the governor when he was away. Then later on, the result was some sort of impeachment move. And under the impeachment move, it had to do with spending a huge sum of money for some cars, which the deputy governor has since denied. But I think the major problem here is distrust and mistrust, disloyalty, so to speak, and it seems it's going to be quite difficult to deal with. But then again, how well all of the court cases regarding the impeachment will go is another matter altogether. The last time I followed it, they were saying something in the realm of, the impeachment move will continue. Even though the time the chief judge of the state was told to set up a panel of some sort, she had to come out to say, well, there's a court case banning me from doing that. Yeah, the law recognizes that the assembly is quite independent and should be quite independent in carrying out its work, even in impeachment process. But since the court has said I should not do this, then I'm not going to do it. So go back to the court, wait for the substantive ruling of the court. So the court case presumably is still there, but when it comes to political aspect of things, the one people are now calling on the president to intervene. Well, let's see what the president can do. But like I said, the mistrust has gotten too rife, so much so that the governor would not want to relinquish any kind of duty to the deputy governor. Remember the time he was traveling for his homage, he relinquished power to the deputy governor. At one point, the deed degenerate to the extent that he is staying away from understate. He's somewhere in Oyo State, presumably cannot function, but he still does not want to relinquish the power to the deputy governor. That's like a breakdown of relationship there. I think the other time a media aide was saying, well, he was staying somewhere in Ibadan. His duty is not being affected. He can still carry out his duty and things of that nature. Some people will still question it. To what extent is he carrying out that duty? Because there is already that report that the 2024 budget can suffer, because the governor has not been able to present it. Why has he not been able to present it? Is it because of his ill health? If he's supposed to operate from anywhere, okay, let him operate from Ibadan. But why is the 2024 budget presumably suffering from being presented? Okay, why can't it be given or delegated to the deputy governor? And so you see some government functions are suffering as a result of this, and so you cannot convince anybody otherwise that Akeredolu is not fit to govern the state after now. So he has to give something to the deputy governor to preside over the state of things. But we'll see how it all ends, whether the president will come in and, of course, intervene. Those are the stories right here on The Guardian. This Thursday morning, power tussle here and there. Some of them are actually looking towards the judiciary to help resolve. Some of them are looking towards political solution, especially in the case of understate. Let's also remind you one of the things, especially when it comes to Kano State, people like Falano has said regarding this. Working with the tribunal ruling and appeal court ruling, Falano has said candidates should not be penalized for the oversight of the electoral body. So if there were over 165,000 ballot papers that were not signed, should that be suffered by the candidate? INEC will have to bear responsibility for that. Okay, in terms of nomination as well, who should bear the consequence for somebody emerging as a candidate if INEC has not done its proper work? He thinks that electoral body should bear the blame and candidates or parties should not suffer the consequences. But we know we are in an era of technicalities. Okay, and so the court will continuously work with technicalities. We'll wait for the Supreme Court to also help us interpret. But summarily, all eyes are still on the judiciary, with all of those cases, different pronouncements, sometimes contradictory. All eyes are still seriously on the judiciary. In the coming days, we'll review what the polity will be like in response to some of those judiciary pronouncements. Some people have said, will it start from Kano State? They can't wait for it to start from Kano State. But then again, the police is on standby to maintain tranquility. We're taking a quick break. When we come back, continue to look at some electoral matters, this time focusing on electoral offences and what INEC intends to do regarding that. We'll return.
99.1 FM.